Everyone, welcome back. So today I will be discussing why does a wet cloth look darker as compared to that of a dry cloth, and why is it always happening? Like when a certain area gets wet, it appears to be darker as compared to the same color cloth, which appears lighter when it is dry. So we will be discussing what is the science going behind this, and what is the actual reason why this phenomena is occurring. So I have some slides with me through which I would be demonstrating what is the thing that is happening here, and it would be easy for you to understand the concept when things are visually in front of you. So for this, I'll bring up the next slide where I have a t-shirt with me. So this is a blue t-shirt. Okay, so before I'll tell you what is actually happening, I'll just tell what if I zoom this t-shirt more, what would I see? So if I bring out a part of this t-shirt and then zoom into it, I'll see the fabric of the t-shirt, which out of which the t-shirt is made. And how does the fabric look? So this is how the fabric looks like. The lines that you see like this are the threads that are used to make this fabric, and between the threads you must be seeing these white pores. Okay, so these white pores is where the air is filled. So these white pores play a very important role in making any fabric breathable. Like suppose if these pores were not there, it would not be easy for that fabric to let the air pass through it. And because of this, in seasons like in summer, what will happen is if the air is not able to pass through the fabric, it would give more heat to the body, and it would not be very comfortable to wear it. So these are very essential for the fabric to be breathable. So this is actually not the point of discussion. What we are now studying is why does the cloth appears darker when the part of a cloth is wet. So what we will do is now make the cloth wet. So water comes here. Now what will happen? Suppose see, this region which is darker here is representing a wet portion in the cloth. Now what will happen? I'll just like bring it on the screen what is actually happening when the part gets darker. So as you see that these pores which were white before have now gotten darkened, and they are now matching the shade of the threads or the spaces which are alongside them. Earlier it was like this. Okay, the pores were not filled with water. Now as the water drops on the part of a t-shirt, this is how the pores get filled. So now what happens here? The main thing that is influencing the cloth to appear darker or lighter is the reflection of light. The reflection, how it takes place, the scattering of the light, and how it strikes back at our eyes. I'll just show you how this phenomena is occurring. I'll take a pen. Okay, so suppose light comes in here like this. So whenever a light strikes on a cloth, it is striking on the boundary of the air and the thread. Okay, so after the striking of the light at this boundary, it reflects back and then comes to our eye. Suppose this is our eye. So after the light strikes the thread and the pores where air is filled, it gets reflected to our eyes, and this takes a million of happens a millions of times, so that cloth appears to be lighter in color when pores are not filled with anything, or it's just air there. So what we have studied, that air comes, strikes on the boundary of the thread and the air, and then it gets reflected and then reaches our eyes. And this is what is actually creating the sense of colors in our eyes, because when the light strikes, it strikes the boundaries and then it gets into our eyes, and this gives us the ability to sense colors. Okay, so this is how the dye cloth appears. But now in case of wet cloth, what is happening? Suppose the light came and it strike to the boundary of water and thread, but here in dry it was getting reflected. Here it won't get reflected. It's not like it is not completely getting reflected, but the reflection will decrease. Why will it decrease? It is because of the water present in the place of where air was there earlier. Now water, what will do is it will absorb the light more, and after absorbing, it will send the light to the dye, which is giving color to the cloth. And the property of dye is that it would absorb the light which is coming. So if the light is absorbed more, less reflection would be there, less light would be reflected, and so less color would be we would be able to see less colors, and thus it would appear to be darker in color as compared to that of the dry cloth. So what is actually happening? The light comes, it strikes the boundary where water and thread is there, and instead of getting reflected, it gets absorbed more, and reflection becomes very less here, and this is why the wet cloth appears to be darker. But many of you must be wondering, why is it happening that the wet cloth is only absorbing light? Like what is the reason that water is absorbing more light as compared to of the dry cloth? So we will just discuss this, like what is actually happening and why is the water absorbing light on the next slides. So this is, like I have given the summary: reflection takes place, more light reaches the eye, less light reaches the eye, less reflection take place in wet cloth, and here it appears to be bright in color and this appears to be dark in color. Now why does wet absorb more light? So this is the core question, that why is the wet thing absorbing more light? So it is more about refraction. refraction is a scientific phenomena which it is very simple to understand. I'll just brief you what actually refraction is. Refraction, we can say in simple words, is just we are talking about how the speed of light changes when it travels from one medium to another. Like suppose if the light is traveling in a medium air, in air it would travel very freely. The speed of light in air is the highest, sorry, it is highest in the vacuum, but in air also it is comparatively very high. Okay, and in case of water it decreases a bit. Like in air the refractive index of air is 1, and that refractive index of water is 1.33. So as the refractive index increases, the ability of light to travel in that medium decreases, or we can say the speed of the light to travel in that particular medium decreases. And the difference in refractive index, just understand it like that it is the speed of light which is being demonstrated by that refractive index of that medium, just to understand it. And the reflection, or the difference in refraction, is what actually determines how much reflection would take place when when the light is traveling from one particular medium to another. Okay, so I'll just tell you what is happening. So here I have written the because of difference in refractive index, because refractive index is the thing that is playing a very crucial role in determining how much light will be reflected and how much light will not be reflected. Okay, so if we see here, we have a dry cloth here and a wet cloth here. Now the pores you see here, the pores here are filled with air, and in this case it is filled with water. Now what will happen? We have refractive index of the three things that we have: fabric, air and water. The refractive index of fabric is given to be 1.5, and that of air is 1, and that of water is 1.33. So there is a term called Fresnel reflection. So what is Fresnel reflection? Fresnel reflection is how our light gets reflected when there is difference in refractive index. Okay, so if the difference in refractive index between two mediums is high, then the light would be reflecting more, and if the difference is low, the light would be reflecting less. So what is happening? You come here, you see here, in case of dry cloth, the refractive index of these holes is 1, and that of the thread is 1.5. So the difference is for about 0.5. And in case of this, the refractive index of water is 1.33, and that of the thread is 1.5. So the refractive index in comparison to wet cloth and dry cloth, the difference here in wet cloth is very less as compared to that of the dry cloth. And this is why reflection takes place more in dry cloth and less in wet cloth. And this phenomena is what usually makes the light to reflect more in dry cloth and less in wet cloth. And this is why the dry cloth appears to be lighter and the wet cloth appear to be darker. Thank you. This is it for the video.